Okay, good evening, guys. And so today we'll start a new topic. Oops, we have right object-oriented programming. Okay, what is object-oriented programming? So generally we have like a Java code, for suppose. Okay, so those are all we call like a object-oriented related concept. Okay, so, but here in ABAP also we have a roof spot, but not exactly like a Java code. Okay, little bit like a simplified code, like little bit easiest way code. Okay, especially like we have what are the concepts we have in OOPS for Java? Similar concept we have in ABAP as well, like. Uh, we have a interfaces, we have a class, we have a methods, we have a static method, instance method, okay, like the similar static declaration part and data declarations part, okay, and we have a exceptions, we have a polymorphisms, we have a like max to max, okay, all concepts we have, okay, but especially in real time we are not going to use like all the concepts, okay, uh, based on the situations we require those concepts, right? So max to max, it's not reflect, but it is more if you're gaining knowledge on web spot, then it is more advantage for Fury, like HANA, their level, okay. um, and here also then it is good only, okay. So then but in our sessions we are not going to cover like the entire OOPS concept, because that is another 20 days course, okay. So instead of that I just providing three two to 3 days class sessions for this one. I'm going to cover around 60% part, okay, at here. So let's create, first we'll see the local class, how we can create a local classes in program level. So how we are called that class in our program, and how those things are going to trigger, and what is static and what is instance and all we are going to see. Okay, so I'm just create one C38 program and just check. Okay, underscore local class. Okay, click on create. Executable program. Okay, so here, so what I'm going to do, I'm just giving the class like this. Okay, here I'm just giving the class name. Okay, for suppose sales is my class name. Okay, so better I'll give naming convention like CL underscore class. Here Z not required, because within the program level, right? So not required. When you are creating a program, that time we only we require Z. Or else when we create a class in global class, that time only we require Z. Okay, but within the program we can give any name, class name, any name. Okay, so first we need to define the class. So what I've done, first I'm doing the defining the class. Okay, so whenever we open, then we have to close the class. So similarly, we have to, whenever we implemented define the class, we need to implement the class. Okay, so how we are going to implement the class? So class. Okay, so that same class name we have to give it at here. So says, okay, and we have to give the implementation. So whenever you define, okay, so if you are not implemented, then what you define that class will no value. Okay, so whenever you are implemented for that class, then only some actual logic is going to trigger. Okay, so actual retrieving part is going to happen in implementation. Okay, so definition only you are going to create a structure. Okay, so what are the variables you are going to use it? So those are all you are going to declare at a definition level. Like what are the methods you require? Those are all going to define it here definition level. So actual fetching logic, everything you are going to write the logic at implementation part. Okay, but suppose I want to extract the data, sales header data. Okay, but suppose in such a case, generally how we are going to do, first we are going to define the declarations. Okay, here also we have a same type of declarations. Okay, data, so what you want to declare. So before going to that, in classes we have a different types of things like public, okay, private, okay, and what else? Protect. Okay, so where you want to define means what are the declaration parts you want to publicly you want to declare. In such a cases, we can utilize any other persons also. We can utilize those variables, declarations or methods, whatever you are declare under the public level. So those are all anywhere or any other implementations you can able to do it. Means extract that, utilize those data declaration pattern methods. Okay, if you are defined under the private, okay, what happens? We can't able to use those methods directly. Okay, so those private methods, if it is called in public methods, then only can able to utilize it. Okay, otherwise we can't able to utilize. So and the product also similar like private. Okay, so these are two are little bit securable. Some data you should not extract or call other places. Generally how we are going to use like a function models we are calling, right? So in our programs based on the purpose of conversion routines. Okay, so similarly like classes also we can call it. Okay, so there is a different types of classes like which is public and which is fewer public and fewer private or product. Okay, so product and private classes are methods we can't able to call in our programs. Only public classes methods only we can able to call it. Okay, then what the purpose of these two, like what are the methods we have in public. So within the public methods we are going to call private and product. Okay, so methods and all. So like that they are going to utilize it because there is a concept like a frequently change that means like a logic or they should not disturb. In such a cases, that type of logic everything they are going to keep it in public and protect and private places. Okay, so that is the things we have. Okay, let me go and create this public. So what I'm going to use first, I would like to use the public session. Okay, so under the public session I would like to declare the data declaration part. Okay, so data, so what I want to declare, ls underscore vvak. So header sales header data, I'm trying to fetch it. Okay, so vvak, I just use it. And I want to now I want to method. Okay, so method, so for this what is that method? Get underscore vdak. Okay, so generally in function model we have a import parameters, export tables, right? So similarly here also we have like the import. Okay, so we need to give the import. And what do you want to import, like im underscore vbll. Okay, what is this type of import parameter? So we'll give the vbll. So if you are feeling confused, let I will show, like I will go for function model. From there I'm going to show you like how it is and all. Okay, so let's go to this function model. Okay, so here we have import parameter, right? So tab, in import tab we are giving the employee ID and this is the data type. Okay, similarly in classes also we have import parameter tabs. Okay, so for this method I want import. So this is my import parameter and this data type, right? So that type data type I given it here. So we'll give underscore v here. Okay. Similarly, what generally we have export parameter. Okay. So then change parameter tables we have. So similarly, we have at here also export parameter. Okay, so what you want to export it, so I just give the ex underscore vdak type. So here I'm going to give the vdak table. Okay, so first table I'm going to provide. So now I done the under the public session, I just declared the data type. Okay, and I and, implemented the method. No, not implemented, I defined the method. Okay, so now we are done the
So what
yeah.
exactly is the meaning of importing and exporting?
Import means we are give some input. Okay, so that is importing, and based on your import data, some data extracted and populated into export level. Means you are sending output level some data, so that is export. Import is going to
Okay.
take inside of this class. Okay, based on your input. So this is input and this is output, I can say simply.
Okay.
Import is the input, export is the output. Okay, so now
Yes, sir.
I need to implement this method, this class. Okay, within that class I have a method. Okay, so I want to implement this method. How I'm going to implement? Okay, here. So method, you can say give the method and give the method name. Okay, VBAK is my method. Okay, so under this you can write this select query. What is the extracting? Select single store from VBAK into where you want it. We have a public, so this one declaration. So I'm going to use that structure. Okay, yeah, and where VDELN. So here in this method, what is my import parameter? This is my import parameter equal to IM underscore VDELN. Okay, and export parameter is this one. Okay, so I'm going to change this to this one. Okay, so like this, we need to implement the class. Okay, I implemented the method. Let me save it. So
So
check.
there's no need of
Uh,
declaring LSVPAK, right?
Yes, yes, not required. Why I use it this one, I will show you. Okay, so actually this is the method and this is the data declaration. So we have a static method and instance method and static variable and instance variable. So for that purpose, I declare it. Okay, I will show. Now we are not required. Let me take it out. Okay. Okay, so whenever we are implementing this method, we need to end this method. Okay. Let me check this. Actually, we need to give the end method. Okay, methods are given wrongly. So you can give the end method. Okay, so now it is okay. So now it is jumping to there. Right. I just given the methods. So instead of methods, we have to give the method. Okay. So what I done in public session, I just defined the method at here in definition level, and I implemented that method. Okay, in implementation place. Okay, so let's activate it. So now I need to call this method, implementation method. I need to utilize in my program. How we are going to utilize it? Okay, so start of selection. Okay, so top of this we can write the data declaration in the input parameters ever. Okay, so I'll just give the parameter to give a input value purpose. Okay, p underscore vdln. Okay, vdln underscore va. Okay, okay. Based on this is my input. So based on this input, I want to extract the sales header data. So generally after this in start of selection, what we written this select statement, right? So instead of that, directly I can call this method. Okay, so how I can call method. Okay, what is my method name? So get underscore vdk. Okay, so here I'm just doing this single hyphen arrow method. Okay, so here sorry we need to give the class. This is method actually. Okay, so we need to give the class name. So cl underscore sale is my sales is my class name. Okay, so we need to give such a way. So class name. Okay, either in such a cases if you give this one also not give also fine. Okay, so class name and then hyphen, then arrow button, okay, greater symbol, and then method name we have to give it. For this method, what are the import parameters we have? So those import parameters and export parameters we have to give it. Okay, let me do starting with call method. Let me do this. Okay, so what you are exporting, that means giving input uh, like we declare VVLN, right? So equal to P underscore VVLN. So this is my input parameter. And what you want to export, so here what happens, that becomes import. Okay, alright, so let's give it to this one. Sorry, sorry. So here which I done earlier, that is correct. Exporting, importing. Okay, so here ex underscore VVLN. Here, so I need some work area out here. Okay, so ls underscore vpa. So for suppose I want to declare this one. Okay, okay, let's check if the errors. Okay, got it. Okay, so this is this is a which method we have two types of things like instance and static methods. Okay, same way declaration part also static method variables and instance variable. Okay, so here this is whenever we are using like method like this. Okay, so those are all we call like a instance method. Okay, so instance method directly we can't call like this. We have to create a object. Okay, so here I'm just create the object. Okay, local object lo underscore ref. I'm just give it reference. Okay, ref to we need to give it cl underscore sales is the class name. Okay, so this is our class name which we are implemented. So that class name. So we are three. First we are declaring the ref. Okay, then we need to create the object. Okay, so here I'm going to create the object at here. Create the object. Okay, so that object name we have to give it. Okay, lo underscore ref we need to give it. Okay, so this object name we have to give it to instead of class name, because instance methods or instance variables we can't able to access directly okay, directly. We have to create an object, then only we can able to utilize it. Okay, so now we are going to let me check. Save. Little slow. Check the errors. So now there is no errors. We can activate it. Okay, so this is inline declaration part. Okay, sometimes system is allowing for few places and few places not allowing. I just tried. Okay, it is allowing. Okay, now we have a data at here. Okay, so we need to write the statement to display it output purpose. Okay, I'm just write statement doing the right statement. Okay, I want to display ls underscore vda from ddll ls underscore vda from yarn ls underscore vda from yarn ert. Okay, so this much data I would like to print it. So I'll use pretty printer. It is aligned properly. You can check and activate. Okay, so now we'll see how this code is going to trigger. Okay, so I place the breakpoint at here. Okay, and I place the breakpoint at here. Okay, so here no use. Okay, let's execute it. Okay, so we give the sensor number. I think we need to give with leading zeros. Okay, let's see. If not fetched data, then we will give it in the same way. Okay, so now if it is initial, so if you see it here, our reference object is saying initial one. So it is nothing. Okay, there is no method for this instance. Okay, and double click on this. Okay, so there is no method, no class, nothing. Okay, so I'm just press F5 for F6. Okay, now it is created. Okay, let's see what other things are there at here. Okay, so I have a class at here. If you see, this is the class. Previous this screen didn't came. Okay, after execute that one, then what are the class we are defined is we are given the ref2 and given the class name. So automatically, what are the features are there in this class? Those things will reflect to this object. Okay, so this is the object. If you double click, okay, so if we need to execute, then we'll get that one. Okay, so now I'm pressing F5. Okay, so where it went? It went to implementation part, class implementation part. That means this method, okay, so this method got called. Okay, so we give a input as this one. Okay, then this input is going to export it here for this method. That means it comes to this place im underscore vblm. Okay, so import and export becomes like vice versa. So if you are giving to me, that is importing to me, for you exporting from your place, it is exporting to my place, importing. Okay, so vice versa. If I give to you, that is you are taking from your end, it is importing, from my end it is exporting. Similar way that here also same happens. Okay, so now this is my like okay, so structure. Okay, so it's the data, so data came and the data came. Okay, there is data I'm going to importing to this one ls underscore structure vbak. So my data got it here. Okay, so now I'm going to display it output level. So okay, so let me press f8. Okay, so now data got displayed. Okay, so this week this type of method. Okay, so what we call this is the instance method. So whenever you see the this symbol, Okay, so we can confirm this is a instance method. Okay, similarly declaration also, if you are declare like a declaration part. Okay, so data, if you declare like ls underscore vbak, okay, type vbak. Okay, so this is like a instance variable or instance structure. Okay, so if you want to utilize this structure, okay, so in such a cases already you're like so yeah, you have to create the reference. Okay, that reference hyphen like this we have to use it. Okay, so I'm just giving, so before this underscore ref, okay, hyphen like this we need to give it, and for this place we need to pass that variable. Okay, so suppose I can use it here. Okay, so this in such a cases we have to use enter this part at here. Okay, so generally we do in such a way. Okay, I just given the name. Okay, so now we need to change everything because this is the declaration part, right? Inline declaration. So now it is not allowing, like this is not existing. So we need to give enter part and then we need to give the field name. Okay, so that is the way we have to do it. Okay, so and these are all we call like a instance structure instance method. Okay, so now we'll go for, so what are the things we have done now? We created definition, we created a implementation for that class. Within that definition, we use the public session, and with public session, we declare the instance variables or structure and instance method. So in implementation, we implemented which is defined that method. Okay, this is the instance method. Within that method, we are written the fetching logic select query. So this class implemented class we call it here. Okay, so directly we can't create all the class instance classes, we can't able to directly call. Okay, so in such a cases we have to create the reference object. Okay, we need to create one declare the reference object with the class. Okay, then we need to create the object. That object we have to place it at class place. Okay, so like that we have to do it. Okay, so this is the way we have to create the object reference and all. Okay, so like to try to do something differently. Okay, there is another way of write logic also is there. Okay, so I'm just trying in such a way. It's okay. I don't want to get very confused. Okay, fine. You can take it up to this. Okay. Now, so what? Okay, so we see the instance one. So let me better type quotes comments instance method. Okay, and here also you can use this is instance. Okay, instance structure or a variable. Okay, so now I would like to do. You have any queries up to this? Before going to that, I would like to check your queries. No, no questions.
Until now, no, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, we have another 4 minutes. So instead of continuing this session, better we'll connect again. Okay, uh, then we'll start fresh recording session for starting. Okay, I'm wind upping now. Please join again.